In today's class, we are going to discuss Gordon's model of dividend policy. So, what Gordon has to say about the dividend policy. And in my previous classes, we have discussed the Modigliani Miller model, its limitations, and then we discussed the Walters model. So, Modigliani Miller model basically supported the irrelevance of dividend. He said giving dividend or you don't give dividend, it will not have an impact on the value of the firm, whereas his theory was criticized badly on a certain assumptions that he made. Therefore the two new theories came into picture, that is the Walters and the Gordon's model. According to the Walters model, uh, there were you have to compare the R and KE, that is the return and the cost, to find whether the firm is making profit or no, and whether dividend has to be given or no. But that also had many assumptions and limitations. So there is another theory that has come up, which is the Gordon's model. Now he is also saying that payment of dividend will have an impact on the value of the firm, and how he is trying to prove that, let us see. Another theory which contends that the dividend are relevant is Gordon's model. This model, which opines that dividend policy of a firm affects its value, is based on the following. Let's first go through the assumptions that he has made. The very first assumption is it is an all equity firm, which is again not a right assumption, because all the firms will not be all equity firm. Firms also borrow. There are borrowings from the bank, from the debenture holders. So if this assumption doesn't hold good, his theory will again fail. Then R and KE are constant. Like Walter, he also assumes that the return and the cost are constant, but in real life, it shouldn't be like that. The firm has a perpetual life, the firm's life is never ending. He says that the retention ratio, once decided, is constant. So if you have decided to retain 30% of the profit and give 70% as dividend, then forever you will have to retain only 30%. So once you decide the retention ratio, it will be constant, which is again wrong. The firm can decide the retention ratio depending on their investment requirements. If this year I don't have any investment, I will retain 0%, full 100% I can give dividend. Next year, if I have good investment opportunities, I may retain up to 90% and only 10% dividend can be given. So it differs from firms' investment requirement. This assumption is also not holding good in real life. And he says the growth rate is equal to the retention ratio into the return, which was also said by Walter. And he says because return and retention ratio both are constant, growth also is constant. So if the firm has a constant growth, then after few days people will stop investing in that firm. The fifth assumption is the cost of equity is greater than the growth rate. So basis of this assumption, the theory is being developed. Okay, there are few more. Let's go through. It can be said that the assumptions of Gordon model, okay, the arguments of Gordon models. It can be said that the assumptions of Gordon's model, that they are similar to those of Walter's model. So usually his assumptions are similar to Walter's model. As a result, Gordon's model, like Walter's, contend that dividend policy of the firm is relevant, and that the investors put positive premium on the current income or dividend. So whenever the firm gives dividend, the investors take it positively and they will start buying more number of shares of that firm. The crux of Gordon's argument is twofold. One is investors are risk averse. That means investors don't want to take risks. So they will tell you, give us dividend. We don't want to wait for future uncertainty. The second is they put premium on certain returns. If you give dividend, they will increase your share price. They are happy with it. But if you don't, they will discount or penalize uncertain dividends. If you say no dividend and I am investing the entire money, then they will start selling your shares and they will penalize you. This is what Gordon says. In real life, it may not work like that. As investors are rational, they want to avoid risk. The term risk refers to possibility of not getting a return on investment. So future, the share price, instead of increasing, may decrease. So future is uncertain. They don't want to take risk. Therefore, they are expecting present dividend. The payment of current dividend completely removes any chance of risk. So every year, if I get dividend, then my risk chances will be removed or it will come down. The investors feel that the future dividends are uncertain, both with respect to amount as well as timing. Whether I will receive or no is a risk, and when I will receive is also a risk. So how much amount I will receive and at what time I will receive is always risky. The investor discounts future dividend. They don't want future dividend. If you give future dividend, they will discount your share prices, they will reduce your share prices by selling the shares. They would place less importance on it as compared to current dividends. Therefore, the retained earnings are evaluated by the investors as risky promise. If we retain the money and we tell them we are investing in good projects, your share price will increase, investors will treat it as a risky promise. All this is said by Gordon to prove his theory. In case the earnings are retained, therefore the market price of the share will be adversely affected. So Gordon says if the company retains the earnings, the shareholders will start selling the shares of the company and the share price will be adversely affected. That means the share price will fall down. So therefore, instead of retaining, you better give current dividend. The shareholders will be happy with it and they will increase or add premium to your prices by buying more and more shares. So the above argument underlying Gordon model of dividend relevance is also described as a bird in hand agreement. So, what is bird in hand argument? That a bird in hand is better than two in the bush is based on the logic that what is available at present is preferable to what may be available in the future. So, here this argument basically says if you have two birds on the bush, that is on the tree, and you want to shoot them, but you're not shooting with the fear that with the voice of that gun one the birds may fly away, and if you sit seeing two on the bush, they may fly away anytime. So what Gordon says is it's better to shoot and at least get one in hand instead of sitting and seeing two in the bush, because two in the bush are always risky, both may fly away anytime. Same way Gordon says it is better to receive little dividend but current dividend as of today instead of waiting for higher share prices in the future, because future is uncertain. Instead of high share price, the prices may fall also and the company may close down also. So instead of seeing two in the bush and becoming happy, it's better to have one in the hand. So it's better to have current dividend instead of waiting for the future dividend, is what Gordon is trying to say and justify his theory that people prefer current dividend and they don't want future dividend. So investors would be inclined to pay a higher price for shares which are giving dividends. Conversely, they would not pay more for the shares which are not giving dividends, which are postponing the dividends. The discount rate would vary as shown in the graph with the retention rate or level of retained earnings. So I'll show you the graph in the next slide. The term retention ratio means the percentage of retained earnings. It is the inverse of dividend payout ratio. The more you retain, less will be dividend payout ratio. So it is the inverse, means if I retain 60%, dividend payout ratio will be 40%. If I retain 70%, dividend will be 30%. So the more you retain, the less, that is the dividend payout is going down. The omission of dividend or payment of low dividend would lower the value of the shares. So Gordon says if you don't give dividend or you pay very less dividend, your share prices will fall down because investors will not be happy. So this is the graph that he is trying to show us here. He says if you retain more and more, this line talks about retention ratio. So if you could see, as the company's retention ratio is increasing, as I'm going ahead on this line, the discount rate, that means the amount by which your share prices will fall, is also increasing. So the more you retain, the more people will not buy the shares of your company and your share prices will fall. So this is not the price, but this is the discount rate by which the price is falling. So if you can see, the price falling is increasing. More and more you retain the money, more and more people will stop buying your shares and your share prices will fall. That is what he is trying to explain. So this is a formula that he uses for proving his theory to find the share price. Whenever you find the share price, when dividend is given, not given, so you will get to know, looking at the price, what people are doing, whether they are actually getting more gains or less gains. Here P is the price, E is the earning per share, B is the retention ratio or percentage of retained earnings, 1 minus B is the dividend payout ratio, KE is the cost of equity, and BR is the growth rate, that is retention ratio into rate of return. Using these formulas, I have done problems in my other videos. You can refer those videos and practical application of that formulas can be seen there. So you can just see the videos where I have solved problems on Walter's model and Gordon's model, where the formulas are actually applied and their models are proved. So this was all about the Gordon's model theory. Thank you.